We stumbled across Pho Xao in Hanoi at a small restaurant on the side of the road where you dine sitting on small red chairs, often where a lot of the best food is found in Vietnam. Pho Xao is a stir-fried version of pho, but it's still full of flavour. In Vietnam, this dish would cost around 75,000 Vietnamese dong, which is about £2.50, and that's also for a big portion. In this video, we shared this between two people. It's quicker and easier to make than pho, and I think I actually prefer it. Chewy noodles with stir-fried beef and pak choi, and a deep, rich, delicious sauce. Let's get into it. Let's start by creating the marinade for the beef. Mix 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1.5 tablespoons of oyster sauce, 1 minced garlic clove and black pepper. And that's your marinade done. Now get your beef and use any cut of beef that you like. I'm using sirloin steak here, which I think works well. Trim off any excess fat and save that for later, then we're going to cut your steak into strips against the grain. I'm cutting fairly big chunks here because that is my preference, but in Vietnam the strips would be much thinner. So just cut them to a thickness that you prefer. Mix the beef in with the marinade to make sure it's fully coated, and then let that marinate for at least 20 minutes up to a couple hours to incorporate those flavors. While that's in the fridge, we're going to prep our veg, so top and tail an onion and then cut it into strips lengthways. Cut your pak choi in half, wash off any dirt in between the leaves. I'm also going to remove the fibrous part at the bottom of the stem, as this isn't great to eat. Then just chop them in half again. Now we're going to use flat rice noodles, and I'm using 2 nests because I'm making a fairly big portion. Soak the noodles in boiling water for 10 minutes until they are al dente, as we're going to cook them more later on. Then just drain them and rinse off any of the starch. It's time to make the sauce, so start by adding 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, then 250 ml of boiling water and mix that together. Then for the flavour, add 1/4 of a beef stock cube, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of light soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of fish sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, and 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. Don't worry if it looks a little bit strange now, it will come together when we heat it up. Now we are going to cook the beef, so get the fat you reserved earlier and slowly render it down in a wok. I ended up getting quite a lot of fat out, which is going to give an amazing flavour. Get your marinated beef and add that to the hot wok, making sure all the pieces have enough room in the pan. Cook that for a few minutes until it's starting to pick up some colour on both sides, and then remove it from the wok. Next, go into the same pan with your onions, cook them for a minute, then add in your pak choi and cook for a further minute until it's starting to soften, and then remove both from the wok. Get your sauce and pour it into the pan to heat it up and dissolve everything. Once the sauce is hot and starting to simmer, add in your noodles and mix them together with the sauce for a couple minutes. Now add your veggies back into the pan along with any extra beef stock you need to make the noods nice and saucy. After a minute, add your beef strips back into the wok and cook for a couple more minutes, or until everything is hot and the noodles are fully cooked and you have a nice level of sauciness in the pan. Then it's time to plate up. I like the way it was served in Vietnam, so I'm going to start with the saucy noodles on the bottom, then layer up with the crunchy pak choi, and then place on those tender beef strips on top. Garnish with some fresh chili, chili flakes or chili powder, and enjoy these rich, beefy noodles. And there you have the Pho Xao, a dish that's easy to make, full of flavour and really satisfying. Let me know in the comments below what your favourite Vietnamese dish is, or any tips you would have for making this dish even better. Right then, here we have the finished Pho Xao. Apologies again if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Really, really good. That is definitely a win. Seriously, you need to make this again, it's incredible. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.